Okay, so Donald Trump brought Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey into the Oval Office and confronted him, not about anything important, just about how Trump doesn't like that he lost some of his fake followers that Twitter determined to be bots and trolls. There are some really serious things that anybody with an ounce of knowledge and an ounce of interest could actually talk about with Jack Dorsey. I would love to have Jack Dorsey on the program and we could talk about the issue of self-reinforcing feedback loops that create echo chambers on Twitter. We could talk about the growing body of scholarship on how damaging early social media use is to children and adults, and see what he thinks Twitter's role in mitigating that should be, if any. We could talk about societal problems that a platform of Twitter's size could potentially help with, whether it's suicide prevention or bullying. I mean, almost anything would be more interesting and relevant to discuss with Jack Dorsey than Twitter's policy of every once in a while clearing out fake followers and bots. And in particular, if you're the president of the United States, you would hope that he would talk to Jack Dorsey about more important things. But Donald Trump brought Jack Dorsey, Twitter CEO, into the Oval Office and spent a bunch of time complaining about the fact that he lost followers on Twitter. And it's really one of those, sir, this is a Burger King drive-through sort of moments where Jack Dorsey, for his part, did the right thing and said, Trump, these were bots and fake followers. And Trump genuinely seems to believe that when he loses followers on Twitter, he's losing them because of political bias, that Twitter is haphazardly just like deleting conservative accounts, that it's some kind of anti-Trump Twitter bias, or that there are general purges going on of conservative and right-wing ideology. And everybody in the room that has spoken about this said Trump just was fixated on this issue of the followers that he had lost. And Dorsey did the best he could to explain to Trump, who does have a limited ability to understand stuff, that every once in a while Twitter purges accounts that they determine to be fake accounts or bot accounts, that when this was done, Jack Dorsey lost followers on Twitter, and that you sort of lose Twitter followers in proportion to the number that you have. If you have 50 million followers, when invalid fake and bot accounts are removed, it stands to reason that you will lose more followers than someone who has only 100,000 followers, just by sort of simple math. And again, this is not really primarily about Twitter, although there is a lot about Twitter to talk about. It's once again Donald Trump's obsession, despite being president of the United States, with another equivalent or proxy to an irrelevant penis size contest. We've heard multiple times now that Trump has complained to people around him that Obama had more Twitter followers than Trump, and still does. Obama has like 50 million more Twitter followers than Trump. Who cares? And that Trump is bothered by this because Trump sees himself at being much better on Twitter and much better at Twitter than his former president, Barack Obama. Now, it is true that Obama really does have way, way, way more followers on Twitter than Donald Trump has. But for a 70-something-year-old man to be obsessed with this, particularly when you're president of the United States, can you imagine being this degree of the sort of petulant child and so ignorant that you get the CEO of Twitter into the Oval Office and you complain to him about your followers? You can have very serious criticisms of the entire appearance on the Joe Rogan program by Jack Dorsey, particularly the first appearance, and you can argue Joe should have been better prepared, which Joe ultimately admitted. You can even criticize the second appearance of Jack Dorsey on the Joe Rogan program, where Jack came with like a Twitter lawyer, and Tim Pool was there asking sort of antagonistic questions of Jack Dorsey. You can complain about all of that stuff, but they were at least attempting to be serious discussions about issues relevant to social media, the public square, free speech, censorship, and large platforms. The vanity of Trump wanting to look strong, the vanity of wanting to be pictured in the Oval Office, the vanity of wanting to have a lot of Twitter followers, that's all that this is about. It's all it's ever been about. And people could do so much good with access to the likes of those like Jack Dorsey in those those positions of power. And Trump is doing none of it. He's just berating CEOs about the number of followers he has. It's shameful, it's embarrassing, and at this point it's completely expected because it's what we've grown to just expect from the President of the United States based on his actions, and the world continues to laugh at us.